Hey guys, so in this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this Loomigurumi Worm design, which was designed by me. I have so much to say about this design, I feel. So it is supposed to be like a worm. Where was I going with that? I don't even know. But he is a little worm. He could be a gummy worm, so this one's a gummy worm. As you can see, he's like got the half and half thing going on. Just very simple face, just like eyes, cheeks. But I feel like that's all you need for a worm. I don't know, I kind of love this design. I had the idea to make a worm, and then it took me so long to figure out how to get it to be like this, so it like curves down and then up, because I mean, that's just like how I think of like worm shape. I don't know. But yeah, this one's like a gummy worm, and then this is just like a striped worm, because I don't know, in my head when I think of worms, they're striped. I have no other explanation for that. But yeah, same process, or same like same pattern, just stripes. And then we have a pink one. And I actually have some more gummy worms and things. I made a lot of worms because I was gonna film this tutorial a lot earlier, and then I got sick, and then I forgot how to make the worm, and then the other day I made a worm, and then it was also just a lot of trial and error to like get this design perfect. This one is, I forgot a row on his head, but otherwise he's good. But yeah, I really love this design. That being said, I don't know if this design is good for beginners. It's not hard to do, like what we're gonna do to make the word isn't like hard to do, but I imagine if this is your first tutorial you're watching of mine, you might be very confused. There's a lot going on, and it's not, like I said, it's not hard, and I feel like once you get it, it's like, I can make an army of worms super easy now. But if you're not used to the way I explain, if you struggle understanding me, I'm gonna try my best to explain, but I'm just like, if this is your first tutorial of mine you're watching, I don't know if I recommend doing this design first. That being said, if you've made a couple of my things and like you know how I generally like explain things, and how things work on this channel, I guess, you should be fine. This is not a extremely difficult design, it's just we do some weird things. And I can sort of kind of show you what weird things entail, because if you look in here, you can see that we kind of bunch up the bands weird in order to get them to curve. And yeah, it took me so long to figure that out. Anyways, I could talk about this design forever because designing it was a whole process. I am so proud of it and happy with it. Like, it came out exactly how I wanted. And I can actually show you guys, in my pattern, I like drew my worm vision. I was like, this is what we're aiming for, like squiggly worm. Yeah, this is how it came out. So all of that, I think it's fun. I like this design. One other thing before we get started, I know this intro is a little long, but that's okay. I just had some things I want to talk about. I'm gonna be showing you how to make it like the gummy worm today, and I was debating this in my head a lot, but I think it's gonna be easier for explaining purposes if we're only using two color. Well, I mean, I guess you're using two colors on the other one, but like, when we do the whole, like this first bit, it's all one color, so we don't have to worry about like switching colors. And when we do switch colors over here, it is like super easy. I'm gonna explain to you how you can do a striped worm if you want, but I just think for tutorial purposes, so I don't have to worry, and like, I feel like also, I'm sorry, when you're switching colors a lot, it gets confusing. So we don't have to deal with any of that. I'm just gonna be making my worm colors in the color of the gummy worm today. Maybe I'll make a short or something, just like sort of explaining the stripe pattern, but I can just explain it to you really briefly. So if you want to do stripes on your worm instead of making him look like a gummy worm, I also feel like this guy is kind of like a sour gummy worm because I used like sweets bands, so he's got like these little sparkly bits. But the only difference between like this pattern and this pattern is in this one, I'll tell you also when to start doing the stripes, when we start making it, but basically if you're doing stripes, every 2 rows you're going to alternate between, just between colors. And that's actually a terrible example. As you can see here, I kind of messed up his stripes. This worm looks a lot better. But yeah, just every 2 rows you're going to be switching between 2 colors. And you'll see why it kind of gets confusing about that later, but it's not that bad. And if you want to do a stripy worm, like I said, I'll explain, but there's just so much. But yeah, for tutorial purposes today, just so everyone's a little less confused, I am going to be showing you how to do it like a gummy worm, I guess. I'm sorry, I love him. Okay, so what you need to make this guy. Of course you're going to need some bands. Today, like I said, I'm going to do it sort of like this. So I'm going to be using, I think I'm going to be using for his like top portion, I'm going to be using Sweets orange, and then for his like other half, I'm going to be using purple. Yeah. I was debating, because I also have like Sweets pink bands, if I should do like this color gummy worm or like this color gummy worm. Honestly, yeah, no, we're gonna do this one. I just like yellows. Of course you're gonna need a hook. I'm gonna be using my double-ended hook today. Do not need a double-ended hook, but this is just the hook I like to use. You can use a crochet hook, Rainbowloom hook, whatever hook you have, plastic hook, whatever works. You are gonna need a little bit of stuffing. This design actually would probably be fine without stuffing. I just like to stuff all my creations, and I just use cotton balls usually, so just a little bit of cotton. You probably only need like maybe 2 cotton balls because it's a very small design. And the last thing you need that is a little bit different than all my other designs is you need 2 C-clips. So instead of 1, we're gonna need 2 for this design. But it's just to hold something. It's fine. It's fine. It'll be fine. Anyways, super long intro over. We are now gonna get started into making this worm design. I'm so happy with this design, and I'm like, just like filming right now. I'm so excited to see you guys like make this design. So if you make this worm, I always tell you to tag me, but like show me. Also because this design is a little bit different than like my usual. Like, I don't know, it's a little more complicated than some of my other designs. So whenever I like post this tutorial, I always get relieved when afterwards I see someone make it, because it's like, oh, thank God, it was understandable. But yeah. Anyways, we're gonna get started. I'm picking up some bands, and as always, the pattern will be down in the description. The band count's down in the description too, but this guy's not band heavy at all. I feel like that was kind of obvious. He's so little and skinny. So yeah, he's not band heavy. But if you want to know the band count, it is in the description along with the pattern and everything else. And yeah. Honestly, I am like so happy to film today, not to keep talking. I'm picking up bands though, guys. I have purpose. We're getting all set up here. But I'm like so excited to film today because I've been dying to film this tutorial for like 2 weeks now, and then I got sick right before my birthday, so that sucked. Because I was sick on my birthday too, which was not fun. But yeah, I got sick on my birthday and I wanted to film it, and then for some reason, this never happens to me when I get sick, but for some reason this time when I got sick, my voice was leaving me. Like, it was cracking and I just did not sound good, so I did not feel comfortable filming. I was like, God, people can barely understand me when I'm not sick. Add the sickness in, plus this design not being that easy, like, it's just gonna be a mess. So then I was waiting till I felt better, and then I've been working a lot, and then today my work was like, hey, it's super slow, does anybody want to leave early? And I was like out of there so fast. I was like, please let me go early. Anyways, they sent me home early, and now I have time to film, and it's just like, I wasn't gonna have time today, and then everything just like kind of aligned, and now I have time to film. Okay. That was like the longest intro for one of my videos ever, I think, but we're finally gonna get started. Okay, so to start, like I said, you're gonna want to start with like whatever color you want for like the front part of your worm. And this start part is very simple. So we're gonna start with a tripled cap band with 4 stitches in it, and I'm gonna show you that now. I don't know why my camera's like leg is kind of in the way. Oh, there we go. So we're gonna start by wrapping a band 3 times around our hook. So we're gonna go 1, 2, and then 3. And then we will be putting, like I said, 4 stitches in this cap band. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull the band through the whole cap band, put both ends back on our hook, and then we're gonna push this back loop over the front loop. Like that. And that'll be our first stitch. So now we're gonna go back in through the cap band. We're gonna pull a band through just the cap band, so just these 3 loops, not this last one. We're going to put both ends back on our hook. And then we're going to push this back loop over the front loop. Like that. And then we're going to push this loop that was like left on our hook from last time over. And we're going to repeat that thing we just did 2 more times, so we have 4 stitches in this loop in total. In this loop, in this cap band in total. So once again, we're just going to go back into the cap band. Pull a band through just the cap band. Then you push the back one over the front one. I kind of did that out of habit. I also got scared because someone like running outside my window and I was like, what is happening? But it was just some lady running to her car. Anyways. But yeah, you push the back one over the front one and then you push the loop from last time over as well. We'll go ahead and do that one more time. Like that. And now if we count, we should have 4 loops. And you can kind of see that you have 4 loops, I see. Like you can see there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. But another way to count, if you can't like tell if you have 4 stitches, is just to count the loops. So we'll start by counting the one on our hook. So we'll have 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Like that. So once we've made sure we have 4 loops, instead of going back into the cap band, we're going to go in through the first loop. Let me make sure my camera's focused. So we go in through the first loop. We're going to pull a band. I also feel like this light's a little too bright. I'm sorry, I get distracted. I feel like every time I film, I'm like adjusting the lighting so much. I'm sorry. But yeah, go through that first loop, pull a band through, and then just like before, we push the back one over the front one. Then we push the loop from last time over as well. And then this is where one of our C-clips is gonna go. And this C-clip will just be like our C-clip in every single other one of my designs. That just helps us keep track of the rows. Not to be confused with this other C-clip that will be coming in later. So yeah, this one's just to mark where we start and end. So it's just the same as in all my designs. And honestly, this first part is just very simple, like Loomigurumi stuff. So yeah. So that's the first bit, and now we are going to be increasing everything. And what that basically means is that every single stitch we do is going to be an increase. So yeah, so this first loop already has 1 stitch in it, and because we're doing an increase, we want to put 2 stitches in every single loop. So this one has 1 stitch in it, but since we're, like I said, we're increasing everything, we want to go back in and do another stitch. So we're going to go back into that same first loop, and I know it's hard to see what I'm doing right now. That's just because it's very like tight and tiny. Once it gets a little bit bigger, we'll be good. But yeah, so you'll just pull the band through, both ends on your hook, push the back one over the front one, and then push the loop from last time over as well. So now we have 2 stitches in this first loop, and that'll be one of our increases. And like I said, this row we're doing increases all the way around until we get to C-clip, so we're just going to repeat that in the next loop. And in case that was confusing, because I know the first increase is always a little confusing, all we're doing when we increase is we're just making 1 stitch, and then we're going back in to do a second stitch, and then that's an increase. And we're just going to keep doing this all the way around until we get to the C-clip. So we're just putting 2 stitches in every single loop. And at the end of this row, we should be at 8 loops. And then once we get to the C-clip, we're just going to make a single stitch on the one with the C-clip on it. And we're going to move it up. So we're going to take it off the loop it's on and move it up onto the loop that is on our hook. Like that. So now if we count around, we should be at 8 loops. So we'll start again by counting the one on our hook. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And our worm should be looking a little something like this. So now's the part that's super easy and it's going to get repetitive for a minute. We are going to be doing 3 rows of just single stitches, and we're not doing anything fancy. We're literally just doing 3 rows of single stitches. At the end of each of these rows, we are still going to be at 8 loops. And I'm going to stay on camera and do all 3 rows with you. But if you want to like pause this video, go away, come back, you can totally do that. Also, just a small note, if you are doing your worm with like alternating stripes, you are going to do 2 rows of single stitches, and then on the 3rd row you'll alternate to your first other color. Again, if you're not doing alternating stripes, just completely ignore what I just said. I don't want this to get confusing, but yeah, if you are doing alternating stripes, you're gonna do 2 rows of single stitches, and then you're gonna switch over to the first of your like other stripe color on the 3rd row. But we are gonna stay the same color because I'm making like a gummy worm. Okay, so we're gonna start the first row of single stitches. And all we're doing is we're doing, like I said, 3 rows normal, just single stitches, is we're just doing 1 stitch in each loop all the way around until we get to the C-clip. Also, my camera does not look like it's focused. Please focus. Thank you. So yeah, all we're doing is we're just putting, I'm sorry, I like stopped talking there because I was like trying to see if my camera was focused. But we're just doing 1 stitch in every loop all the way around. And these rows go pretty fast because of how like thin this design is. But yeah, we're just doing 1 row all the way, 1 stitch in each loop all the way around until we get to the C-clip. And I am already at the C-clip because, like I said, this worm's very small. And then once you get to the C-clip, all you do is you'll make a stitch on the one with the C-clip on it, and you move it up. So that was 1 row of single stitches. Like I said, we need to do 3 total, so we're gonna do 2 more. And I'm just gonna stay on camera and do both with you. I had like I had to like stop filming for a second. I mean, it didn't affect you guys, you didn't see it, but I like had a flash because I like locked our, like double locked our front door. So I put like the lock you like can't open with a key on. And I was like, oh, my roommate should be getting home from work soon. And I was like, I don't want to accidentally lock this guy out. So I was like, whoopsie. And then I was like, I should probably also let him know I'm filming. Just so he doesn't come barging into our house and like come in and I'm just like awkwardly sat here filming a tutorial. I don't know. Anyways, that was 1 row of single stitches. We're gonna go ahead and do 2 more rows. I always feel like I don't explain much when we're doing like rows of single stitches, and I'm like, ugh, do they need more like explanation? But I don't think so. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. And also, at the end of all of these rows, you should still be at 8 loops. And we're going to go ahead and count to make sure we're still at 8 at the end. Also, counting in this design, surprisingly important, and you'll see why later. But yeah, we're just doing single stitches. Okay, so we just finished our 2nd row of single stitches, so we're going to go ahead and do our last one. Because we have 1 more row. My roommate's so funny though. Honestly though, I have really enjoyed living with him. It's been nice, and I might live with him next year too, and one of his best friends, so that'll be interesting. He has been saying he maybe wants to start coming on my come on my channel once. He was like, I told him I was filming just so he doesn't, like I said, come barging into my room. Even though my door is locked, but that's not important. And he was like, you should let me say hi. I'm like, say hi to do what? If I let you say hi right now, like, everyone's just gonna be so annoyed because we are, like, doing, like, serious loom business. Like, we're making a worm. We don't have time for roommates right now. But yeah, I do want to bring him on my channel at some point. He's super nice. And he was, like, well, he wasn't my best friend. A different guy was my best friend through university, but he was, like, I saw him every single day because I was, like, best friends with his roommate. And then his roommate ended up moving home, and then I moved in with his roommate. It's, like, so complicated, but Yeah, I used to, like, I mean, I used to saw him every day before I moved in with him, and now I, like, live with him, so he's one of my good friends. That was, like, the most complicated way I could have said that, but anyways, we are done with all 3 rows of single stitches. And your worm should be looking a little something like this. And if we count around, we should still be at, what am I saying? We should still be at 8 loops. So we can go ahead and count right now. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. So now here's where it's gonna get like a little weird, and this is because we are going to start like curving our worm, I guess. But we're gonna do these things, I don't even know what to call them, okay? I've been calling them like curve rows, and then I have these other things that are like, literally in the pattern, the way I wrote it was like 1 curve row and then 1 extra curve row. So there's like these 2 different types of rows we're gonna be doing to get our worm to curve. And I feel like I called them that because 1 row, like, when I was working on, like, designing this worm, was like 1 row sort of made the worm curve, but it took too long to get it to curve. So then I made this, like, extra curve row to get him extra curvy faster. I don't know. That was my logic. But we'll be doing these 2 different types of rows. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know my logic behind the phrasing, but there will be 2 different types of rows. And also, what we're gonna start doing now is we're gonna take our hook out of the C-clip, and this C-clip is just kind of gonna hang here, and this band is kind of gonna be like holding multiple bands, and you'll see what I mean. But we're just gonna let it chill. And the way we're going to do this first curve row, so this is the first type of curve row, and we're just gonna go with calling 1 a curve row and 1 an extra curve row, because that's just how they work in my brain. But this is just going to be a basic curve row. And what we're going to do is we are going to start stitching on this loop here. So the one we actually just slid up over onto the C-clip, we're going to start stitching right here. And we're going to just do stitches all the way around to the band right here. And then we're not going to do a stitch on the one with the C-clip on it, but we're going to take like our last loop and we're just going to slide it over. And it's just going to be like held by this band with the C-clip on it. That sounds confusing, so we're just gonna do it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we start right here. So we are gonna start, and you kind of have to hold this band with the C-clip on it a little bit, because we're gonna start stitching on this loop right here. So the last loop we slid over onto the C-clip, we're gonna start stitching right here. And we're just gonna make, by the way, we're not doing any more increasing or anything for the rest of this design. We are just doing single stitches. So there's no increasing, there is no decreasing until the very, very, very end when we're like at like closing him up. But like from here until then, there's no decreases, no increases. We are just doing single stitches. Like I said, until we literally get to like, we're closing up his tail. But just know that, just so you don't think I'm like doing any weird stitches. There is no weird stitches, like it's all single stitches. We're just kind of looping different. Okay. Anyways. So our first single stitch is gonna go on that one, and then we're just gonna, like I said, keep doing single stitches all the way around until we get to this one with a C-clip on it. And we're kind of looming in the opposite direction now, by the way. So we're kind of like looming this way, if that makes sense. Because normally you loom in the direction of, like, the loops are going. Now we're kind of going against it, if you can see that. So all of our loops are kind of flowing this way, and we're kind of stitching that way. But yeah. We're just going to be doing single stitches all across the front. Okay, so now I've done single stitches on all the loops except this one that has a C-clip on it. And all we're gonna do is we're gonna pick up this band with a C-clip on it on our hook, And we're gonna slide this last loop that was left on our hook from the last stitch over and onto this C-clip band. Like that. So the way I like to think of this band with a C-clip when we're doing the curve rows is it's kind of just holding like the ends of all our last rows. I think that's like the best way to think about it. So this band is just going to be holding all the like end bands of these like curve rows we're doing. So yeah. So like I said, we're doing 2 curve rows right now, so we're going to do another curve row just like the curve row we just did. But this time, we're going to start on this side. So I guess it is kind of exactly the same as last time because we're going to start on the band we last flipped over. So it's this one. And we'll again be like looming sort of in against the direction that the loops are going. So you can kind of see the loops are also, I don't know why my hand's shaking down there, ignore that. But the loops are all kind of going, loops are all going in this direction. And we're going to be looming in this direction, and then we'll once again just flip the band over when we get to this side. So yeah, this is the band we're going to start doing like the next curve row on. And that's basically all we're really doing for this worms. There is like one other hard thing we have to do, but it's not that bad. The good thing is it's all like single stitches, so it's not too bad. And I think like I said, I think once you understand how to do it, it's like super fast to make a ton of worms. Okay. So once again, we are gonna start on that last loop we flipped over onto our C-clip. So right here. And we're just gonna do single stitches all the way across the front again, and this will be our second curve row. And we're just doing stitches all the way across until we get to the other side. And just make sure you're doing stitches on all the loops. And then once you get to the one that has a C-clip on it, and there's no more loops for you to stitch on, just like before, we're gonna pick up the one with a C-clip on it, and we're just gonna slide our last loop over onto this one with a C-clip on it. Like that. And you can kind of already see the worm curving like just a little bit. But yeah. Just like that. So now here's where we start doing this like other type of curve row that I call like the extra curve row. And like I said, this was just because in my head it was like to give the worm extra curve. But we're gonna do like a mini half row on top of the curve row we're doing. Okay, I've consulted the pattern. We're still all good. But we're, like I said, we're about to do one of these like extra curve rows. And what we're gonna do, and this is where the other C-clip comes in too, is so now is also a good time to count to make sure we're still at 8 loops. And the way you would count is the same as before. You're just gonna start by counting the one with a C-clip on it. So you're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you should still be at 8 loops counting the one with a C-clip. Also, I don't know why this hand is a little bit shaky. I keep noticing it shaking, and I don't know if it's the way I'm sitting or because I'm kind of leaning on it. But that's kind of annoying. Anyway, so what we're going to do for this like extra curve row is we are going to stitch just on the first front 4 loops. And I kind of just look directly across from wherever my C-clip is. So just looking at my worm right now, across from like this C-clip is these 4 loops. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. So on these 4 loops in the front here, we're just going to do 4 single stitches. So we'll start there. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Like that. So we just did 4 stitches across the front 4 bands. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the next loop and we're just gonna make a stitch. But we're gonna put our C-clip on this one. And we're gonna pull our hook out. Like that. And now we are going to do 1 row normal. So we're just gonna do 1 row of single stitches. And we'll get to this guy when we get there, because this is kind of where it gets confusing. But basically this is just gonna be one of our stitches that we loop in to the rest. God, this part is the part that I was like, I don't even know how to explain this, but we're gonna do it together, it'll be fine. But yeah, this is like, when we get to these extra curve rows is where it gets a little confusing. But we are doing these for like the rest of the worm, so maybe it'll get less confusing. But yeah, now we're just gonna do 1 row of single stitches. And that means we're gonna go back through this one that has our C-clip on it. And we're just gonna start doing single stitches across all these loops. So yeah, we're just gonna do single stitches. And right here is like, I can already tell like the start of my like extra curve row. But we're just gonna treat it like a normal loop and just make stitches on it. So we're just doing single stitches on all the loops we see. I don't know how else to explain this, but we're single stitching across the front, just like all the loops, as if we're not doing anything too crazy. And this is the one problem, is like, okay, so we have this C-clip holding this loop, and you just want to make sure you don't miss this last loop before the C-clip, where it gets kind of all weird and loose. So just kind of hold your C-clip, make a stitch on this one before the C-clip, like that. And then once we get to this one with the C-clip on it, we're just going to put it on our hook, take the C-clip out, slide this band over, and then just keep doing single stitches. Like that. And then we should be back at our C-clip. And now we're just, because this was 1 row normal, we're just going to treat it like a normal moving up our C-clip. So we're just going to do a stitch on the one with our C-clip on it and move it up. So that was a complicated row, and probably as complicated as these rows get. But basically what we did is we just did 1 row of single stitches. As you can see, like this loop is like not tight anymore with like all the bands flipped over on it. And then we just kind of looped that 1 extra band we had in. And yeah. And now your worm should be looking a little something like this. You can tell he's starting to curve more. And we're actually about halfway done with the first portion. We do have some more curve rows to do to get him like really curly. But yeah. And that's like all the complicated rows. All we're doing from here on out is we are just repeating doing like curve rows and extra curve rows and then rows of single stitches. And I hope I explained that well. Little bit concerned because I know that row was very complicated, and I hope you did okay like with me walking you through it. If you're confused by what I did, my #1 recommendation is just to watch what I do before attempting to do it on your worm. I also will probably repeat that process again later in the tutorial, so maybe if I didn't explain it good this time, maybe fast forward to one of the other times where I'm doing the same thing and watch it there and see if it makes sense. But yeah, that's basically it. But we're gonna keep going. So now is a good time to add some stuffing to your worm. This guy gets kind of long, and if you wait too long to stuff him, it's just such a pain. So if you are stuffing your worm, now's a good time to add some stuffing. And we're just gonna push it inside. I've actually found it helpful to use my hook to kind of stab it in there because he's just like such a skinny design. Honestly, I feel like maybe part of me was like procrastinating doing this tutorial because the way this worm made is a little weird. I mean, of course it is. It took me like 2 days just to figure out how to do this to get the shape I wanted. But he's so worth it. It was kind of crazy because after I got sick, I like came back because I knew I wanted to film this tutorial, and I had to like understand my own craziness. Like I needed me to teach me a tutorial, and then I had to just like look at my pattern and dig through my brain and be like, right, that's what I did. I don't know. It's just fun times. Fun times figuring out my own designs. Okay, so my worm's all stuffed. So, for the next rows. So we are actually going to be starting off this next curve section. I kind of in my head also like break these little bits into like curve sections. So because we just did one row normal, we kind of ended off like the last curve section. As you can see, like this band with the C-clip on it, it only has the one band from when we did our single row flipped over. And like when we're going to start basically like before flipping over a bunch of like bands onto this one C-clip again. So this is like the fresh start of like the new section, I guess. But we're actually going to be starting with like an extra curve row. So that's again where we are going to stitch across the front 4 loops. So we're just going to hold our worm. And I find it just most helpful to hold it like this. And then just kind of look at what you think the front 4 loops are. We're also probably going to be looming this way because when we do these curve rows, we're looming against the direction. So we're going to probably want to put it on these 4. So it's going to be this loop, this loop, this loop, and this loop. And I'm just basing it on whatever's directly like in front of my C-clip. So here, 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 and here. And since this is, like I said, an extra curve row, we're just going to go ahead and start doing single stitches on that first band. So we'll just start counting 1, and then 2, 3, and then 4. So once you've done 4 single stitches across the front, you're going to want to just count to make sure you did 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to go into the next loop. And we're just going to make a stitch. But we're going to put our C-clip on this loop. Like that. And once again, we'll take our hook out and just let that hang there. And now we're going to do a curve row. So this is just a row where we stitch all across the front and then we'll flip our band over onto the C-clip band at the end. Also, just about if you were doing alternating colors, I found it easier and it looks like most seamless. Obviously you're like slip stitching at the end of rows if you're switching colors, which is why I kind of decided just to do like the gummy worm kind of color scheme for this one because I feel like it would have gotten very confusing. But yeah, if you're alternating colors to make your worm striped, again, disclaimer, if you're not doing a striped worm, just ignore everything I'm about to say. But if you're doing a striped worm, I should have also talked about this sooner, but if you're doing a striped worm, when you do the extra curve rows, you're going to count that as one of like the 2 rows in the color. Because I like doing like little blocks of like 2 rows per color. So when you do the extra curve row, that's going to count as part of like your color section. And then after say if you did like a curve row and then an extra curve row, the next row would just be in a different color. If that makes sense? But yeah, color placement, that's just my recommendation for if you were doing stripes. But okay, back to the worm. So yeah, so once again, we're going to just do a regular curve row. So we're going to start on the loop that we just flipped over onto the C-clip, so this one. And we're just going to do single stitches all the way across the front until we get back to the C-clip. And here's where it gets important just to not miss any loops. Because it's going to get confusing. But I know I'm supposed to do a stitch on this loop, so we're just going to go ahead and do it. But yeah, we're just going to stitch all across the front. We're going to stitch on all these like extra loops we made. I'm trying to make sure you guys can see what I'm doing. but it's kind of hard because it's so tight. We're just doing single stitches all the way across, making sure not to miss any loops. And again, we're gonna do single stitches all the way, even on like the loop before, the one we had put our C-clip on it, and like pull it to the side if you have to get to this loop. And then once again, when you get to the loop with a C-clip on it, you're just gonna put it on your hook, take the C-clip off, and then just push the back one over the front one. And for me, I'm actually at the C-clip after I do that, so we are just gonna slide this loop over and onto our C-clip loop. Like that. So that was one curve row. And at the end of these curve rows, I would count to make sure you're still at 8 loops. I've made so many of these worms, but sometimes, because like it's so weird the way we're stitching it, I'll miss a loop in there. So just count to make sure you're still at 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. So we're gonna repeat that thing we just did 2 more times, I think. Yeah, 2 more times. So we're gonna do an extra curve row where we just do like the 4 stitches across the front, and then we're gonna do one curve row where we go all the way from like one side right before the C-clip all the way to the other, and then we flip the band over onto the C-clip. We're gonna do that like 2 of those. So we're gonna do extra curve row, extra curve row, curve row. Yeah, those are like the next 4 rows, if that makes sense. And if you're worried about it, I'm gonna stay on camera. I'm gonna do all of it with you, so we should be good. But I'm really trying my best to explain this, but I feel like this is just like so not how we usually loom that it might throw a lot of you off. But I'm hoping your worm's coming okay and we're all on the same page. So, okay, so like I said, our next row is gonna be an extra curve row, and usually the best way to think about which way to go is just make sure you're going against the flow of the loops. So the loops are flowing this way, so we're gonna be going this way. And I'm just gonna once again look at my worm and pick the 4 loops that are in the front here. So I think it's this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And those are gonna be my 4 loops for this extra curve row. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just gonna do single stitches across those 4 loops. Right. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So once we have our 4 loops across the front, we're gonna go ahead and go into the next loop, make a stitch, and then we're just gonna put a C-clip on this one. And by the way, the C-clip, the second C-clip we're using is just to hold everything so nothing like falls apart. So it's just literally to hold this loop on this. Like all this is a single stitch, but we're just marking it with a C-clip and like just letting the C-clip hold and like hang out. So we finished our extra curve row. So our next row, like I said, will just be a regular curve row. So that's when we start at the last one before the C-clip, and we go all the way across doing single stitches until we get right before, until we've basically stitched on all the loops up until the C-clip. So once again, we'll start on this loop, which is like probably the last one that was pushed over onto that C-clip. And we're just doing single stitches all the way across and making sure not to miss any loops. It will always look weird. Hold up, sorry, I let go of my bands for a second, but it'll always look weird when you're like going up onto one of those 4 loops we did, like the 4 single stitches across the front. But yeah, just trust. But yeah, just do single stitches all the way until we basically run into that first C-clip. So just make sure to do single stitches on every single one of the loops. And then don't forget about this one loop right before we get to the first C-clip. And then once again, once you have stitched on all the loops up until the C-clip, as you can see, my last single stitch was literally on this loop. We're gonna put that loop on our hook, take the C-clip out, and then just push the back one over the front one. And then we're gonna make sure that we have no more loops, and for me, I'm already at the second C-clip. And once we get to the second C-clip, we're gonna put it on our hook. We're gonna slide this back one over the front one, and then we're just gonna pull our hook out and let the C-clip hold everything. So that was another section of like curve row, extra curve row, curve row. So usually after I do that, I like to count to make sure I'm still at 8 loops. So we're gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And we have one more set of that to do, so we're gonna do one more extra curve row, one more curve row, and then we are actually almost done with this whole front part of the worm. I'm just double checking something. Okay. So we're gonna do that same thing we just did one more time. Okay. So once again, we're gonna start with an extra curve row, so that is when we do the 4 stitches on the front. So we're gonna look at our worm. We're gonna see what 4 loops are across from this C-clip, so, and we'll also remember, we're gonna be looming against the flow of the loops. So I'm gonna probably do it on this one, this one, this one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm gonna go ahead and do those 4 single stitches, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then once we've done those 4 single stitches, we'll just go ahead and count backwards to make sure. So we have 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we'll go ahead and go into the next loop, make a single stitch, and then we're just gonna put our C-clip on this one, our second C-clip, like that. So that's our extra curve row, and now we're gonna do our curve row. So we're gonna once again start on this like last loop we flipped over onto our C-clip, so the one right here, and you do usually have to like pull on your C-clip a little bit so you can see it better. And we're just gonna do single stitches all the way until we get to the white C-clip. I don't know if you guys can hear all the traffic and stuff that's happening outside. But yeah, just make sure you don't miss any bands. Okay, I thought I messed up, but we're all good. It's just like I said, that sometimes when you like have the first of the 4 single stitches we did on the front, it sometimes looks weird, so just make sure you're stitching on the right loop. And if you're ever in doubt that you messed up, I would just say make sure you count at the end of the row, just to make sure everything's good. That's like the best way to do it, honestly. So yeah, we're just doing single stitches. I almost said we're just doing C-clips. We're doing single stitches all the way until we get to our first C-clip. And like I said, just make sure you're not missing any loops. That's the most important thing with the curve rows, is just making sure you don't miss anything. And then once again, once you've done stitches all the way across up until this blue C-clip, so make sure you've also stitched on that loop right before the blue C-clip, you're gonna put this loop on your hook, take the C-clip out, and then just push the back one over the front one. And then for me, I am at my white C-clip, so my first C-clip, and we're just gonna push this one over onto the C-clip like that. like that. So that is it also for this curve section. So the next row we are going to do is just going to be a row of single stitches. And believe it or not, this is the last row we're going to do in our first like half of the worm color, and then we're going to move on to our second half of the worm color where we have it curving the other way. I'm really trying to go slow too and be like very clear with my explaining, so I hope we're all good so far. Honestly, I'm gonna feel so relieved when after I post this tutorial, the first person to make a worm. Like, I'm gonna see that worm and be like, mission accomplished. Honestly, I was making this design and it turned out exactly how I wanted it to, and I like know it's not hard to make, but I was thinking, I'm like, this is gonna be a fun tutorial to film, because what was I on while designing this? Sometimes I do weird things with bands and like, yeah, I get to the shape you want, but it's like so like different than how we usually do Loomigurumi, and I'm just like, this is gonna be fun to explain. And I feel like I had that moment when I made this design. I was like, this is like, love this design, but what the heck was I doing? And it works, but also what the heck was I doing? Anyways, like I said, now we're gonna do one row normal. So we are going to put our hook back into this one with a C-clip on it, and we're gonna be looming again in the flow, I guess, of the direction of our loops. So yeah, we're just gonna do single stitches all the way around until we get to the C-clip, like we would any row of single stitches. And just make sure you're not missing any loops. And it is really hard to see at this point because it's like curving all weird, and yeah, it's just fun. But yeah, we're just doing one row of single stitches. And then once we get to the one with a C-clip on it, we are going to do a single stitch and move our C-clip up. But we are also going to be switching over to our second half of the worm color if you're doing a gummy worm. But yeah, if you're doing a gummy worm, we're going to go ahead and switch over to our second half of the worm color. If you're not doing a gummy worm, you're doing stripes, you'll just continue doing your stripey pattern. I also think I am going to have to do like a separate video explaining how to do the stripes. It's not that hard, it's just like the way you alternate the colors to get like clean stripes with the curve rows is a little confusing. But it's fine. But if you are just attempting to do the stripey worm, I hope it's going well. Yeah. I'm so sorry for all the card noises. Why are people with cards so obnoxious? Anyways, we're gonna do a single stitch on the one that has our C-clip on it. But like I said, because we're switching colors, we're actually gonna do a slip stitch. So we're just gonna pull this band through everything on our hook, and then push the back one over the front one, and we're gonna put our C-clip on this one like that. And now if we count around, we should still be at 8 loops, so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Is that 8 down there? 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we have 8 loops still. It's just this last loop is like really tight, so just make sure you don't lose that when you're doing the next row around. Okay, so now's another good time to add stuffing to stuff this like last curve bit we did. And as you can see, he is curving nicely. But yeah, now we're gonna be curving in the opposite direction to go down. But first we're gonna add stuffing. And curving in the other direction, we are literally doing the same thing we did. We're just gonna do one thing before we do that, so we're curving on the opposite side. Does the neighborhood just like, okay. That was loud, I know you guys heard that one. So many cars. Also, I'm just stuffing my worm off camera. I hate stuffing loom things on camera, it's so hard. I'm hoping I can get this tutorial finished by the time my roommate comes home. And he should be home in like 30 minutes, and I think we're gonna be just about done by then. You know, part of me was like, this isn't a difficult loom design, but I have to say, yeah, this is probably, I'm gonna have to put it in my challenging Loomigurumi playlist because it's a little bit interesting. But so cute. I honestly want to make a couple more stripy worms. So, I'll do that at some point. I am hoping to finish this up before my roommate comes home because I always get so awkward when he is in the house and I'm filming. Like, I know he doesn't care, but I'm like, he's listening to me. He's hearing me say all these loom terms and wondering what the heck I'm doing, even though he doesn't care. Like, it's just a self-conscious thing. Okay, so. Consulting my pattern. But we're all good. So now we're going to do this next row, now that we have stuffed our worm, made sure we had 8 loops, is we are going to be flipping our curve band, so that I've been referring to this in my pattern as like, kind of, I don't know, I think of it as the band that's holding all the bands to curve. So we're going to flip this one with the C-clip on it to this side. So to the opposite side. So that way we can curve in the opposite direction. We need this band to be on this side. And it's pretty simple how we're going to do this. We're going to just look at whatever loops directly across from this loop. So once again, we're just going to look at our worm. And I can tell that this loop right here, that's going to be our new curve band. Or like our new band that we're kind of putting everything on so we curve. So we're just going to go through this band. We're going to make a single stitch. And we're going to put a C-clip on this band. And we're going to go ahead and use that second C-clip. Like that. I'm sorry, I'm consulting my pattern. Hold up. Okay, worms and patterns were consulted. I know what I'm doing. And now all we're gonna do is we are gonna pick, I don't really think it matters at this point. We're just gonna pick a side and then just do a curve row. So we're gonna start right here at the one before this one with a C-clip on it. And we're just gonna do single stitches all the way across the front and then flip our band over onto this hook. But when we're like stitching across the front, we're just gonna include this as like one of our single loops. Does that make sense? I'll show you what I mean when we get there, but basically we're just gonna start doing single stitches on, it really doesn't matter at this point. I'm gonna start on this side, but whichever side of your worm. But I'm gonna go ahead and start on this side. And we're just gonna do single stitches on all the loops until we get to that one with a white C-clip on it. So just every single loop, do a single stitch. And make sure you don't miss any loops, because that's sometimes hard. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. So once you get to the one that has a C-clip on it, like the loop that has the C-clip and like everything that's happening here. And what I just did off camera was I made sure that like, so this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I made sure after I did all the single stitches, I would still be at 8 loops. Because I wasn't sure if I had to stitch on this loop, and then I was just like double checking. So if you're unsure if you've stitched on all the loops yet, just count as if you were to continue if you'd still have 8 loops. And if you do, you probably didn't miss any bands. That's like the only way I could think of it. But once you've done single stitches all the way up until this C-clip, we're just going to put the one with this C-clip on it on our hook. Take this C-clip off. And we're just going to push the back one over the front one. And then we're going to just keep doing single stitches until we get to this C-clip. And then once you've just done single stitches the rest of the way until we reach our new C-clip band, we're going to do the same thing we did as all the other curve rows, where we're going to put this C-clip, the loop with the C-clip on it, on our hook, and we're just going to flip this back one over the front one, and then we'll just take our hook out, like that. And now our curve band has been flipped to the other side. And if we count around, we should still be at 8 loops. Now is actually a really good time to count, because I feel like in the flipping, sometimes I've accidentally like lost loops. And I also want to say, like, if you do lose a loop at this point and you're somehow like at 7 loops and you don't know where you went wrong, I would just finish your worm. Like, your worm will be a little skinnier on the back, but I've done that on a couple of my worms. It's not too noticeable, so you'd probably be okay. But if you do lose one of your loops, it's usually in this row here. So if we count, we should still be at 8. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where did we lose one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. I thought I did this correctly, but I clearly missed a loop somewhere in this last row, because before this last row, I was at 8 loops. So if this happens to you, the best way to fix this is just to undo the last row and just see if you missed any loops. I actually know exactly where I missed it, and it was just on that one that I was like, am I supposed to stitch in here? And I was like, probably not. I definitely did. So I'm just gonna go back and I'm just gonna make, actually I see exactly where I missed. So right after the one with the C-clip, I just completely skipped a loop, because this loop has nothing on it and it should. Yeah, so I just accidentally missed a loop. And I feel like sometimes stuff is tight here and stuff, so it's easy to just miss a loop. But it's an easy fix, because I just go back and re-loop everything. And by the way, there was nothing, I saw someone concerned recently why I leave my mistakes in my tutorials, but like that wasn't a mistake in like my explaining or the instructions. I just forgot to loom on a loop. And now we're back at 8 loops if we count. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. Okay, and now we're just going to continue doing extra curve rows and curve rows. So we're going to do 2 sets, I believe, right? No? Maybe? Yeah. Now we're going to do 2 sets. Wait. Yeah. 2 sets of like curve rows with extra rows. So we're going to start with a curve row this time. Just like a regular curve row. So we're once again gonna go on this, starting with this last, like, starting from the last loop we flipped over onto the C-clip. Single stitches all the way across, and then we're gonna flip it over. So we're just doing a curve row. So we're just gonna do single stitches all the way across. So I'm just doing single stitches right now until I get to the other side. So once again, once we've done single stitches on all the loops up until we get to this one with a C-clip on it, we're gonna just put the one that has a C-clip on it on our hook, and then slide the loop on our hook over onto the one with the C-clip, and then we're just gonna take our hook out. And once again, after this row, if you count, you should still be at 8 loops, so we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And that is it for that row. So now the next row we're going to be doing is a extra curve row, so that is where we do the 4 single stitches across the front. So just like before, we're going to look at our worm, we're going to pick which single stitches are the front 4. And I think for me, it is this one, this one, this one, and this one. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to go ahead and do single stitches across those front 4. And then once we've done the 4 across the front, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we're going to go into the next loop, just make a single stitch, but we're going to put a C-clip on this one. So that is our extra curve row. And now we're gonna just go ahead and do a row of, just do a curve row. So we're gonna do one curve row. So we're gonna start right here and go all the way around until we get to the C-clip. And this is just a row where we have to just make sure we're going on all the loops because we have that awkward like extra curve row in there. So sometimes like loops get lost, but it should be okay. I'm also going a little faster now because I'm hoping like you guys understand what's happening because we've like repeated this process a couple times. So, yeah. Okay. So once again, we're starting on the loop. That should be the one that we like last flipped over onto the C-clip. And we're just gonna do single stitches all the way across until we get to the first C-clip, I guess. Make sure my camera's in focus. I like how I tried to focus my camera and it just immediately went out of focus. That's fun. So once again, we're just doing single stitches for our curve row. And then once again, just always make sure not to miss this loop before our first C-clip. It always hides. And then once we get to our first C-clip, we'll put it on our hook, take the C-clip out, push the back one over the front one. And if you have any other loops before your second C-clip, you would just continue like doing single stitches on them. But for me, I'm already at my second C-clip, so I'm just gonna put the second C-clip up on my hook. Oh, don't take the C-clip out. But I'm just gonna put the, what was I saying? Put the one with the C-clip on it up on my hook, and then I'm gonna just push the back one over onto it. Like that. Cool. And I'm just consulting my pattern right now. Okay. So the next row again is going to be a extra curve row, so we're gonna do also your worm should be looking something like this right now. Like this. You can kind of squish them a little bit too, it usually helps encourage the curve. But we're going to be doing an extra curve row again, so once again we're going to be going against the flow of our loops, so they're flowing this way, so we're going to do our extra row this way, and we're just going to look to see what's across from our C-clip, and for me I think it's 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, I might just go here, so we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 for our extra curve row. So 1, 2, 3, and then 4. So once you've done 4 across the front, we'll once again count to make sure we have 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we'll go into the next loop, do a single stitch, and then this one will have our C-clip on it. Ah, no, do not pull your C-clip off the one that is holding all of the like flipped over bands. That'll get really bad really fast. But after we do this extra curve row, we are actually going to do a row of just a row of single stitches, so one row normal. So we do need to put our hook back into this. So just put your hook back in, and now you're just going to do one row of single stitches all the way around. And once again, you'll start on the one that is right after, or like the last one that was flipped over, if that makes sense. And we're just going to do a row of single stitches. So we put our hook through the one with the C-clip on it, so we'll push it over And then we'll just keep going. So basically when we're doing a row of single stitches, the thing that is different is that we kind of like include the one with a C-clip on it. But yeah, we're just doing one row of single stitches all the way around. I'm worried my worm is curving weird, but I think he's fine. I think I'm just overthinking it. But yeah, we're just doing single stitches all the way around until we get to either one of the C-clips. And then just make sure you don't miss that one before the first C-clip. And then once you get to the first C-clip, put it on your hook, take it out, push the back one over the front one. And then for me, I am back to the one that has a C-clip on it. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make a stitch on the one that has my C-clip on it. I know it's so hard to see what I'm doing here, but it's just, my bands are kind of a mess. And this band will probably be pretty tight because it's got all those other bands on it, so just make sure you don't miss it. But I'm just gonna make a stitch, and then we're gonna go ahead and move our C-clip up. And my C-clip is all tangled on my hook, so I'm just gonna flick it out. We're just gonna make the stitch on the one that had the C-clip on it, and you would take it out and move it up. Of course, mine kind of took itself out, so that sort of worked out. Like that. So I think my camera's falling a little bit. Oh, there we go. Okay. So that was all very confusing, but if we count around, we should still be at 8 loops. All we did was a row of single stitches, and we just like incorporated that like extra curve row in, like we've been doing. So, but if we count around, we should be at 8 loops. So we should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Like that. So now is another good time to add stuffing. So we are just gonna we're just gonna add some stuffing to this guy. Yeah. And I actually need more cotton balls. Where are my cotton balls? No, I have more on my desk. But yeah, we're just gonna stuff him a little bit. And we are actually almost there. We're so close. And I'm sorry if that last row was a little confusing. I feel like I got a little bit distracted when I was doing it because I was hearing stuff outside, but hopefully it's fine. I'm really worried with this design whether or not I'm explaining well because there's just so much happening. Okay. Look at him. Look at the worm. Look how he's curving. So good. Anyways, once you've stuffed him, we can go ahead and put our hook back in. And that is actually it for the extra curve rows for this design. So now we're just gonna do 2 curve rows. So we're gonna do 2 of the rows where we like go all across the front, then slide it over onto the C-clip. Then we go the other way across the front, and we slide it over onto the C-clip. So we're gonna do 2 rows like that, and then we'll be really close to done. But yeah, that is it for the extra curve rows, which I feel like are like one of the most confusing parts of this design. So yeah. Okay. So we're gonna just go ahead and do 2 curve rows. So we'll take our hook out of the one that has a C-clip on it. We'll start on the last one we flipped over onto this C-clip band. So for me that's this one, and we'll be looming in. Again, going against the flow of the band, so they're all flowing this way, so we're going to be looming this way. And we're just going to do single stitches all the way across until we get to the C-clip. I'm also sorry if the lighting's changing. I gotta stop talking about the lighting in my tutorials. I gotta keep that to myself. But yeah, we're just gonna do single stitches all the way across until we hit the other side of the C-clip. Because we're just doing a curve row. kind of overstuffed by worm, like the cotton's getting in the way. And once you've done stitches all the way across until we got to the C-clip, we're just going to put the C-clip band on our hook, and we're just going to slide this one over onto that C-clip band. So that was our first curve row. Like I said, we're doing 2, so we're going to go ahead and do one more. So we'll take our hook out of the one with the C-clip on it. We'll start on the one right before the C-clip, so literally the one we just pushed over, so this loop right here. We're going to go this way, across that way. And right now might be a good point to make sure you're still at 8 loops. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Why am I at 7? How am I at 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh god, I lost a loop somewhere, guys. Hold up, I'm gonna just double check to make sure I didn't miss any loops in our last row, which is where I think it happened. This is why it's important to count on this worm design, because you'll think I've hit, and then you'll just randomly skip a loop, and I actually can see where I just accidentally skipped a loop. But yeah, I just took it apart, the last row of loops, and I just went looking to see if I missed a loop, and I did. So I'm just going to go ahead and make a stitch on that loop, and then just re-loop them. And like I said, this was also nothing wrong with like the way I explained it. I literally just, I have a hard time seeing with my camera sometimes, and this design is like so like scrunched, like it's just so thin that it's just hard for me to see the loops on camera, which is why I just missed one. Okay. So now that we are at 8 loops, and I'm sure of it because I went and found the one I was missing, we're going to go ahead and do our other curve row. So we're going to start, like I said, at this one right before the C-clip. And we're just going to stitch across going in the other direction. I'm kind of looking over my camera just to make sure I can see. Like, it's getting very hard for me to see, guys. But luckily we're almost done. So once again, once you get to the loop with the C-clip on it and you've done single stitches on all the ones before this, you're going to put the one with the C-clip on it on your hook, and then you're just going to push this one over onto that band. Like that. And now if we count around, we should still be at 8 loops, so let's just go ahead and count to make sure we didn't accidentally miss one this time. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we have 8 loops. So that was actually the last of the curve rows too. Now we're gonna do 1 row normal. So just 1 row of single stitches all the way around, and we're gonna be we're gonna, hold up, let me pick up bands and then I'll get my thoughts together. Okay, so now we're gonna do 1 row normal, and we're gonna start with the one with the C-clip on it on our hook, and I'm just gonna go ahead and like go against the way we're looming just because it doesn't really matter. Actually, does it? Should we just go with the flow? Yeah, let's just go with the flow of how we're looming. So we're just gonna go in the flow, like in the direction of all the hooks, the loops, and we're just gonna do C-clips, not C-clips. Oh my god. My brain is scrambled. We're gonna do single stitches all the way around until we get to the C-clip. And it's really hard for me to show you what I'm doing right now at this point because my worm is just not cooperating. But we're just gonna do single stitches all the way around until we get to the C-clip. And then once you get to the one with the C-clip on it, You're just gonna make a stitch, and this loop will also be really tight because it's that loop that we have all of these things slid onto. So it's gonna be pretty tight, so just make sure you see it. You're gonna do a single stitch on it and you're gonna move your C-clip up. And right now is a good time to add any stuffing if you need it, so just add your last bit of stuffing in. But after this, we are closing up our worm, which is, we made it. It's like a crazy time the entire time. Also, I don't know why. I feel like I'm using my customer service voice in this tutorial. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was at work today, but I feel like I was using my like customer service voice a bit. Who knows what's up with that? Also, maybe because I was just so nervous to mess up. You guys are like, we made it to the end of the worm. I'm like, we made it to the end of the worm. I don't know. I was just so worried. But your worm should be looking something like this. And we are now just going to decrease everything until closed. So this is the point that, like I said, we're going to do decreases. But this entire time we've just been doing single stitches. And we are just going to do decreases until we can't decrease anymore. And yeah, that's basically it. And we're going to be looming like normal, by the way. I just pulled my hook out to stuff him, but otherwise you wouldn't pull your hook out, you would just leave it in him. And you're just going to decrease all the way around until we can't decrease anymore. And if you don't know how to decrease, I can show you right now. And of course, right now, my battery has decided to die. Hold on. Okay, that was kind of crazy. I have like 4 different camera batteries, and I put 3 of, okay, I have 5 camera batteries total. 1 is always in my camera, I have 4 extras. I put 3 of them in my camera, and they were dead. So like, I was like, oh great, time to finish, put this one in, tried to turn my camera on, it was dead. And that happened 3 times, and literally the last camera battery I tried actually no, all 4 of them were dead. I was charging this one while I was filming, and that's the only reason I can film right now. So I guess I forgot to charge all of my camera batteries but 1. So I need to charge every single one of them. Anyways, we're gonna finish up our worm. I'm excited, I hope you are. But we're gonna decrease everything until closed. And if you don't know what a decrease is, I'll show you right now. But all a decrease is we are grabbing the inside part of one loop and then the back part of the next loop and making a stitch. So I'll try to show you again. And it's so hard to see what I'm doing, and I'm so sorry, but inside part of one loop, oh, focus please. Inside part of one loop, back part of the next loop, make a stitch. And at this point you can take the C-clip out, and you're just gonna decrease until you literally can't anymore. I think there's like 2 more decreases here, and then we're gonna be done. Okay, so this next one's gonna be my last decrease. And once you have that last decrease up on your hook, you're gonna take a band, pull it through everything, push the back one over the front one, and pull tight. And now we're just gonna tuck this tail inside of our worm. I guess the only good thing about this design is because it is a worm, there's like no attaching we have to do afterwards. Okay. And then we just kind of squish his tail a little bit. I like to leave his tail like rounded and pointy at the end, so I just let it happen. Ta-da! Worm. Like I said, once this design, once you finish doing like all the complicated curve stuff, you literally just like tie it off and it's like, it's done. I guess the very last step we have to do is just to put the eyes on. I'm also a little nervous because my roommate should be home. He should be home any minute, so he's gonna come crash the end of my tutorial. Also, if you made it this far, stay to the end because I have a design that I'm gonna show you that's gonna be coming soon to this channel that I'm actually so proud of and happy of, and I think it's like the longest awaited design on my channel. Which is like, sounds so like clickbaity and YouTuber-y to say, but I'm like, you guys have actually been asking for a tutorial for this since I started this channel like 8 years ago, and I finally did it. So anyways, very last step for this worm is to just put eyes on. So I'm using 4mm round beads. They're the same beads I always use. If you don't have beads, you can of course use a band. You can just wrap a single band around your hook 5 times and then pull a band through and it'll work exactly the same. but I'm just gonna take, by the way, this is a piece of dental floss. But you're gonna take a piece of string, whatever string you have. I always use dental floss because it doesn't fray as much. I find it easier. Also, why do my hands look so nasty right now? And you're just gonna put your bead onto the string. I don't know why one of my hands is so shaky right now, but it just is. So I put the bead on the string off camera. And then we're just gonna fold back over. So you put a band, you put a bead on the string. Then you're gonna fold back over and go back through the bead. Through the bead. And you're just gonna slide it on. And this is how we'll put our eyes on our worm. And you'll just repeat that for the other band. I'm actually struggling right now because for whatever reason this hand is just kind of shaky. I don't know why. It just kind of is shaky. I usually have very steady hands too, so I'm like, what is up with that hand shaking? Anyways, go back through the bead. Slide it on. And now we're just going to tie these eyes to the front of our worm. And I usually just tie my eyes right here on these two right in front. I don't like putting his eyes super towards the top of his head I don't like putting the eyes like super towards the top of the head either, so I kind of go a little bit down. And I usually tie both eyes in first. And then if your eyes are where you like them after you tie them in, you'll just go ahead and tuck these tails. And then your worm's just about done. You can add cheeks to your worm. Where's this guy? I added cheeks to this one, and I'll show you how to do it just in case you want to. But for my stripy worms, I actually didn't give them cheeks. So, it's personal preference. Also, I'm tucking in the tails off camera because I don't like to tuck them in on camera. Okay. So like I said, the very last thing, and this is totally an optional step, is if you want to give your worm cheeks. I like giving everything cheeks because I think it's super cute. But you're just going to come right under where you have the eye. And you're just going to pull a band through. Both ends back on your hook. Push the back one over the front one. And pull it tight, but not too tight, as you can see I did. And you're just gonna like gently tuck the tail in. And that'll be one cheek. You'll come to the other side and do the same thing. And then you just hide the tail. Like that. And then your worm has cheeks if you want him to have cheeks. Anyways. Long tutorial, but I think that is it for this tutorial. I hope your worm came out okay. Definitely if you make this design, don't forget to share it with me. I would love to see your worms. Like I said, I'm a little nervous for how my explaining was in this video. I really tried to be slow and like explain everything thoroughly, but I think it was kind of obvious that midway I kind of just like, I feel like I get tired like halfway through tutorials all the time because like I spend so long filming them. So yeah, a bit of that, but I hope your worm came out okay. Definitely share them with me. I would love to see your little gummy worm, how they turn out, all your worms. Show them to me. But yeah, before I go for this video, I want to show you the design that's coming up that I'm actually so excited about. I posted it on the community tab, so you can see it in the community tab. But I maybe, let's give this guy some space. I maybe finally made a unicorn design. And it's so cute. Like, I'm actually so proud of it. I was on the phone with my sister when I made it. Little unicorn. And I was just talking to her, but I was like, I feel like a loom genius, because everyone's been requesting a unicorn design for my channel for so long, and like I felt so much pressure to like get it right. And then I made this when I was like sick and voiceless, and I just think it looks perfect. And it's like, I actually kind of want to make like 3 different versions of this unicorn design, because like in my head unicorns look like, there's like cutesy unicorns, and there's like other kinds of unicorns. So yeah, lots of different kinds of unicorns, but I am super excited to be doing a tutorial for this design too, because I know it's like such a, like, I feel like it's a highly anticipated design, and you guys have been asking for a unicorn forever, so I'm super proud of this one, and it'll be coming to my channel soon. We also have the mini pig design that'll be coming at some point. Honestly, the mini pig might be coming next, and then we'll do the unicorn. Anyways, so yeah, don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you can see what's coming. If you haven't seen, I've posted a lot of videos recently. I'm out of school, so I feel like I've been giving so much attention to this channel and like just doing a lot here. So yeah, if you want, what was I gonna say? Yeah, so subscribe so you can, there's just stuff happening. I'm back to posting on this channel, so if you want to see more of me, or just are excited for more loom designs, I'm working on new tutorials, always working on new things, and I feel like I am so tired. I don't know if filming a tutorial also directly after work was a good idea, because I literally got off work, they let me out early, and I got home and I was like, it's time, like I have time to film, I want to film. Yeah, anyways, I hope your guys' worms came out okay. Definitely share them with me. I think that is, oh, one last thing. You can follow me on Instagram if you want to see what I'm up to every day. I've been posting on there a little bit, just what I'm doing and stuff. Yeah, my brain is scrambled. Anyways, that is it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope your worm came out okay, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.